What up guys, and welcome back to the All Sports Inclusive channel, and today we are talking about the death of skateboarding. Okay, so I keep hearing amongst YouTube videos and YouTubers that skateboarding is dying. My brain can't comprehend that, because how can one of the most popular action sports in the world, a sport that has gotten into so many markets such as clothing, etc., how can that die? Let's dive into it. So, after a little bit of research, I found that COVID had a big impact on skateboarding. Wood was hard to get, which meant that companies, I guess skate shops, couldn't sell boards, which made it very, very difficult. But I don't think that's the big issue, because skateboarding was declining before all that happened. But why? A couple different ideas, and I am gonna try not to use ideas that I've heard from other YouTubers. But let's talk about innovation. Skateboarding started because surfers wanted something to do when waves were not, I guess, at their peak. I don't know surfer talk. Anyway, skateboarding started because surfers wanted something to do when the waves were bad. Boom, skateboarding. But if you were in that situation now, there's a bunch of different options that you can choose from. For instance, we have surf skates, which is intended to feel like surfing. We also have, back in the day, was longboarding, which was known as just cruising. The boards had various different shapes, and sometimes no kicktails, sometimes kicktails, etc. Longboarding evolved into something totally different, but we do have longboards that have spring-loaded trucks. Materials that will give a surfy feeling, whether that be bamboo construction, etc., fiberglass, all the things. Innovation has caused a lot of different subcategories to fix the surfing situation of bad waves or just no access to the beach. So if someone's in that situation, they have more options than just plain skateboarding. Skateboarding is very niche. It is, I guess, categorized as street, vert, and park.
I love the
longboarding used to be just cruising, carving, all those things, and then it kind of emerged into downhill. Downhill went into free riding, which is just a fun way of sliding to stop. Similar to that of snowboarding, you slide to stop. Or you slide gloves, put the hand down. Then longboarding went into more of a freestyle market. Freestyle is basically skateboarding, but you can add in cross steps. And then cross steps emerged into dancing. The order's probably changed a little bit, but dancing is a little bit more popular, and then dancing started adding more freestyle tricks in, so it became less dancey and more freestyle. Anyway, basically there's been a lot of innovation to resolve one issue that emerged multiple different subcategories. So are those people taking the market from just skateboarding, or is there a different issue altogether? When it comes to learning sports, everything is hard. When it comes to basics or just advancing past that, tricks are difficult. But I will say, out of all the action sports that I've done and that I've tried, if you're new to this channel, I like to learn different action sports. I don't, I guess, subscribe to any one sport in particular. I kind of just like tricks. That's pretty much it. I'll learn whatever I can to accomplish a trick. And as long as you can do tricks, I think it's cool. But I will definitely say, out of all the sports that I've tried, the ollie is the most difficult beginner trick. Whether you believe that or not is up to you. That is my opinion. The ollie is the most difficult beginner trick. So difficult that a lot of kids, when learning, quit altogether because they can't get past that step. Now, all the things that I mentioned before are not the main reason for the decline of the sport, but they are contributing factors. But instead of focusing on internal situations, let's look at an external situation, and that would be the underdog. Now, I say underdog because when I say scooter, people think of this, whereas nowadays it's actually more like this. I also say underdog because scootering in the eyes of a skateboarder are still deemed not cool. A lot of that is just the perception that they have due to kids just not fully understanding skate park etiquette. But it has nothing to do with scooters as a whole or the tricks that they can do. It's just poor representation, and that poor representation leads to a lot of hate. Now, if many skateboarders don't like scooters, how is scootering taking away from skateboarding, or is it even possible that it's causing a decline of skateboarders? Well, if you were to look at one of the main contributors to a sport continuing to grow, a lot of it has to do with the younger generation picking up and continuing it. Now, when I look at, say, an SLS, which is Street League skateboarding competition, and you look into the crowd, I largely see adults. But if I were to look at a scootering event, and look into the crowd, I would largely see kids. As well as when I go to the skate park, I see adults skateboarding. There's myself on rollerblades. And then there's kids and teens on scooters. So why are more kids doing scootering than skateboarding? Or at least, why does it seem that way? Well, I think a lot of kids are given scooters before bikes or skateboards. So it seems easier to continue something that you've already learned than learn something new altogether. Like I said before, the ollie motion in general is one of the hardest beginner tricks, I believe, of any action sport. Whereas on a scooter, it's a little bit easier. I'm not gonna say that every trick is easier, because it's not. If you try to learn any trick and advance in any sport, it's gonna be difficult, and everything has their difficulties. But jumping on a scooter is a little bit easier than jumping on a skateboard. Yeah. But there's other contributing factors to prove my point, such as skate shoes. Skate shoes are really expensive, and they seem to be getting only more expensive. For instance, you can find some that are cheaper and some that are more expensive, but somewhere in the middle, an average skate shoe is about $60. With that $60, you're going to go scrape it on a board to do different tricks, which are going to immediately wear it down a lot quicker than other action sports. The shoes definitely hurt your wallet. I will say the wheels last forever and trucks really last a long time. However, a wooden deck does not last nearly as long as a metal scooter deck. Now let's talk styles and tricks. Skateboarding has street and park and vert and all those things. There's also other subcategories, but that kind of dives into more longboardish tricks or styles. Anyway, skateboarding primarily has street and park. And so does scootering, street and park. However, with a skateboard, you're limited to kind of skateboard tricks. With the scooter, you can do both skateboard tricks, BMX tricks, and some very unique to scootering only tricks. Okay, let's also talk fear factor. From my days being a sponsored longboarder, I'm quite familiar with wheel bite. Whereas on a scooter, that's not a thing. It's just not physically possible to get wheel bite. But it is very intimidating to know that even if you land on your board, you can still fall down because wheel bite. It's something you get adjusted to, and as you keep doing it, you learn how far you can bend over, etc. So when you have a sport that avoids that altogether, it boosts a lot of confidence. We talked about fear, but let's talk about protection, because that also plays into fear. I've seen many skateboarders starting out who were too scared to do anything without pads, but also too scared to wear pads because fear of rejection and bullying. Whereas scooters, it appears more common to wear pads, especially in the park arena where you're flying high and doing things that look borderline Olympian. I don't know, athleticism. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is all perspective and me trying to figure out the problem from a different point of view that have been said before. I agree with a lot, and I disagree with a lot, but these are some things that I've seen. So if you have a different point of view or a perspective, let me know in the comments. Try to keep it positive. And if you like the video and want to see more topics like this where we try to detectively, that's not a word, solve problems, let me know in the comments or give me another idea as well. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in another video.